partnership that we have with the Hispanic community of Florida. And I will tell you that the work that they do out in the community is just outstanding. So we are very proud of the 2 decades of the partnership that we have. We, with them, work with financial literacy programs. We work with how to establish your citizenship pathway via. We recently, the City Foundation granted a 2-year, $500,000 grant to Hispanic Unity of Florida because of the world. This is like a world effort around food and the problems that we have out, not only in Florida, in the Florida market, but throughout the world, unfortunately. But we're here to celebrate you. We are here because your entrepreneur mindset, because we know at City that you are the future of our country. Your passion, your drive, your resilience to not only build up your business, but maybe scale your business because your work makes a difference in the people that you work with, in the lives that you serve, in the communities where you are serving your, presenting your services. We know that at Citibank. And we are here for you to hold your hand and to give you all the information that you need around banking. Because Citibank is a bank with a heart and a soul. And we know that there's nothing more personal than the work that you're doing to build a legacy for your families, for your friends, for the communities that you work in. So thank you everyone for coming here today to invest and to learn more, to network. Because when we come together, we make a difference. So we're here, Citibank is all the way there. My team here are Fredo Barberi, Paula and Haiti. They all speak Spanish, okay, which is fantastic. Even my boss here, from that he's in charge of the entire east of Citibank, from Illinois all the way down to Miami, and he also speaks Spanish because he knows how important it is to immerse himself in the culture and connect with the people that we're serving. So we are here for you today. We will be answering all your questions. And I want to thank you for the outstanding job that you're doing every single time that always, you have, this great program is just unbelievable, and the work that it takes to bring everybody together is a lot. So thank you, but it wouldn't be impactful if all these people wouldn't show up. So thank you for the work that you're doing and for the work you will continue to do. And we are so proud to be here today, getting to know you more. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Janet. Oops. And a special thank you to Citi for sponsoring our summit and helping us make this event a reality. And now, get ready to be inspired by an extraordinary leader and change maker, our keynote speaker, Rosana Durruti. Rosana is Vice President of Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging at LinkedIn. She has led global teams implementing innovative talent practices and diversity, inclusion, and belonging strategies that transform and influence how companies prepare for the future of work. An Afro-Latina born and raised in New York City, Rosana attended Harvard University and Stanford Business School. Her experiences serve as a prism for creating diverse, inclusive, and equitable opportunities for professionals to succeed in the workplace and beyond. Rosana has been recognized as a DEI trailblazer and as one of the most powerful and influential Latinas. She was named among 10 leaders transforming the workplace in post-George Floyd corporate America, and her thought leadership and highly sought-after insights have been featured in Bloomberg, Forbes, Telemundo, Fast Company, Business Insider, Harvard Business Review, Univision, and other top-tier media outlets. Rosana is also an angel investor and advisor to several startups. Please join me in welcoming the wonderful Rosana Durruti.
Buenos días. I am Rosana Ducruti, but that bio may not tell you what you really need to know about me. So I am the daughter of a Puerto Rican mom who came here when she was 10 years old, and a Cuban dad who arrived here with a medical degree and $10 in his pocket and a Spanish English dictionary to begin a medical internship many years ago. And this is in many ways a full circle moment for me. It's fascinating. I didn't know that Janet was going to be up ahead of me from Citibank because much of my story actually ties to Citibank and the beginnings they gave me. So, growing up in New York City in the 1960s, 1970s, I'm very much a child of the civil rights movement. I think my first awareness of what was going on in politics came when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I had a very deep seated feeling. I think it's a feeling that we grow up with as Latinos to want to help others, to help our families do better, to help our communities move forward. And that was a source of inspiration for me. I realized at a very young age that education was an important part of that equation, and my parents inspired that. My mom worked with my dad, and so I grew up. And 6 days in the week, my father was at his office, and on that sixth day, on Saturdays, I was in that office as well, answering the phones, filing back in the days when filing was a physical thing. And I can say that I gained my work ethic from that experience, as many of you have gained that work ethic as well. But my life took an interesting twist. I graduated from high school at 16. I was a little anxious to get on with my life, and so I skipped a couple of grades along the way. And I was fortunate to have been accepted at Harvard University, and I began my studies at Harvard. But as I began my studies, my parents' relationship came to its end. So, something I have in common with Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg is that I've been to Harvard, I'm a dropout, but I don't have their bank accounts. But I say that because so much of our story is about the beginnings and the stops and the starts and the stops and how we continue on our path and journey. And in the time that I was on leave of absence from Harvard with dreams of going back, but not being able to afford to do so, in the time following that dropout from Harvard, my parents' divorce became a very messy experience that resulted in my mom and I being homeless for a couple of years. And it was through others, through people who cared, where our help came. It was through people who saw our willingness to help out and help others that we were fortunate and blessed to have that kind of support. But this is where the story became interesting, and this is where I think we begin our stories together. I was working for a not-for-profit organization at the time that was designed to support our Latino community, principally the Puerto Rican community. It was called then the National Puerto Rican Forum. Operated out of New York, Washington, D.C., Connecticut. I was an employment specialist. My job was to sit with professionals, many of whom came from Colombia or Venezuela or Mexico or Cuba or the Dominican Republic, and to help them begin their lives here, help them begin their start. How would they begin anew? Because their lives had gone through a stop, then start kind of motion. And in one of the programs, the last program I was responsible for, I was helping place people into internships with organizations. One of those organizations happened to be Citibank. I had the good fortune of being invited to Citibank to share about the results and success we were having in our program and how we were helping people who hadn't had job skills build skills so that they could begin their careers, so that they would have an opportunity to realize their American dream. It was a simple afternoon. I was invited for lunch. I presented about my program. They introduced me to four other leaders, and I walked out with a job offer. And Citibank is where I began my career. So Yaneth, thank you for being here because you've helped fulfill on what was a very simple dream at the time. They invited me to join Citibank because they were having difficulties in the community, specifically in the South Bronx in New York City. where a group of community activists had glued their ATM shut over the course of a winter weekend because they didn't have Spanish-speaking employees in their branches. And thus, the people who worked in the bank could not communicate with the community that was seeking banking services. And I say that because this is going back to 1985, almost 40 years ago. Almost 40 years ago, we could see that there was a change happening in the demographics in major cities, that the Latino community was growing, and that representation translated into people who not only brought dreams and aspirations and had families, but people who would grow in their careers, would become the employees of major corporations, would become the entrepreneurs and small businesses that banks rely upon, would become the next generation of leaders for this country. And many people refused to believe it then, and I would dare say sometimes there are moments when people refuse to believe it now. I've been at LinkedIn for the last 7 years, and my journey to LinkedIn came after a number of leadership roles in human resources and talent acquisition, leadership development, as a human resources business partner. And certainly this work of diversity has always been not just work. It's a way of thinking. It's a mindset oriented around the reality that talent exists everywhere. And it's important for us to be able to identify great talent by removing the barriers to entry for that talent. It used to break my heart when I worked at the forum and I would meet a Colombiano with a medical degree who is now applying for jobs in a factory. And back then, that was a real thing. But the question is not to just start with the job. It's necessary to pay bills and feed yourself and have rent. But how do we move forward together? How do we create the kind of support systems that enable us to realize our potential? And that's really the nature of the work that I do. Many people will talk about the work of diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and often perceive it as a system that's designed to create favoritism, but in fact, it's quite the opposite. It's a system designed to help remove barriers to the many talents each and every one of us possess. And if we were to define what that looks like, diversity is just who we are. It's where we come from, it's the cultures we grew up in, it's our faith, it's our way of operating, it's our way of believing. And yet sometimes the shorthand that people translate diversity into is race, gender, sexual orientation. But I want to do a little test here with each of you. How many of you have brothers and sisters that you're related to biologically? You share at least one parent in common. Beautiful, most of you do. How many of you actually grew up with those siblings? Maybe you shared a bedroom or a bathroom with them. Awesome. How many of you, and this is mostly for the adults, but some of the younger people here that I'm happy to see may have this experience. Have there been moments when you sat across from that person at the dinner table and you wondered, how could you possibly be related to them? Like as human beings, we are just different. It's not that difference is embodied just in a physical appearance or in a skin color. Being different is the human experience. It's what enables us to create value different from another person. And so this work of diversity is largely about how do we create space for everyone to create value? How do we create space for people to realize their dreams? And it makes me incredibly happy to spend time with you because as entrepreneurs, you are the dream builders and the dream makers of society. You are creating the space, not only for your own dreams, but for others where they get that first start, for communities to access services that may not be readily available to them, for your families to grow stronger and healthier, and your nieces and nephews to have role models and people they look up to. And as I follow this amazing path, not only to LinkedIn, but having come to Florida some almost 30 years ago when I joined Blockbuster as their head of recruiting, what became very evident for me is while the world is changing, and as these changes create people with different perspectives and opinions. We all fit. We can all belong. There's no need for one's opinion or perspective to be greater than someone else's. The real key is how can we have our own opinions and perspectives and allow ourselves to continue moving forward so that each and every one of us has the opportunity to thrive. So as we do this work at LinkedIn, I'm hoping that many of you know what LinkedIn is. By a show of hands, how many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Okay, for those of you who don't, I'm hoping you'll create that LinkedIn profile. And I say that not just in jest and not just because I work for the company. In addition to being a human resources executive, I'm a social network analyst. And our networks become really critical to how we realize our aspirations. We often think that working hard is the access. It is, but it's not enough. It's who we work with that ultimately makes the difference. There's research that was done by an organization called PRRI that tells us that in the United States, 93% of white people only have white people in their networks. For Black people, it's 84%, and for Latinos and Hispano, it's 64%. Now, what's really interesting is when we think about where we meet people, meet them at work, we meet them at school, maybe we meet them at church or our faith-based institution, where we volunteer. But what's also very true about us is because we seek comfort, often our networks will consist of people much like ourselves. People who have similar backgrounds, similar experiences, similar shared perspectives. And that's great. I mean, those are our friends, our family, the people we grew up with, the people who care about us, the people we care about. But if we think about the objectives we have in life, often those objectives require us to have a different network. They require us to be connected to people who have different experiences and different perspectives, maybe have a different background, different education, certainly a different reach across communities. And we don't necessarily always think about that. We think about, I'll work harder, I'll try to network harder. For those of you who are comfortable networking, not everyone will be comfortable going into public forums with lots of people and introducing themselves. And what a social network affords you, and I'm not talking about Insta, Insta's cool. I do enough Insta and my son's on TikTok, so I've got to pay attention. But what LinkedIn actually affords you is an opportunity to engage with people who are sharing their objectives, who are growing their careers, who are thinking about some of the things you're thinking about, who may be doing things that inspire you and motivate you, and it gives you not only visibility into that network, it actually gives you the possibility of connecting with them. Certainly, and lately I haven't been as visible on the platform, so forgive me, I've been a little busy. I will confess, it's not always easy to be posting every day. But think about how you tell your story. If someone else who didn't know me were to tell my story, it probably would sound something like this. Rosana grew up the daughter of Latinos. She's a college dropout. She went to work and she found success. But that's not really my story. My story is I am the proud daughter of a mom who poured everything into me and a dad who came here with a dream. I'm also the proud daughter of aspirations because I don't think my parents ever dreamed that I would have the kind of career that I have, that I would travel the world the way I travel. And when I think about what gave rise to that, it was this thing called a network. It was someone who noticed me, who didn't know me, who worked at Citibank, happened to be a white man who's now retired in North Carolina. He invited me to lunch. He introduced me to people. We had good conversations. He offered me a job, and a career was born that I hadn't even dreamed of. I thought I was going to be a lawyer in the entertainment industry. I'm not. I've had my run in the entertainment industry, wouldn't do that again. But I say this because we often think that the only thing that's possible for us are the things we dream of. And the reality is what's possible for us are the things we don't dream of that come knocking on our shoulder. But that often comes through people that we know and perhaps don't even know very well. Your network isn't about best friends. Your network is about people who know what you're up to, who are inspired by what you're doing, who want to help you succeed as well. And so it's critical that you own your story, that you tell your story, that you let others understand what it is that makes you different, but why that difference is actually the source of alchemy. It's the spark that allows us to create things that haven't been created. I missed this morning, so I'm really happy that you heard about the power of AI. Because for many of us, growing up was about getting the best education we possibly could and then doing really well at our work and hopefully getting promoted till we retire. It's a little different now, and as entrepreneurs, I think you all know that. The world is continuously changing and the world of work is continuously changing. And just as much as relationships matter, dime con quién andas, y te diré quién eres, technology matters. And technology is designed to support you. The world of AI is going to make us far more productive. There are things that we won't need to do because AI will help us do it. But the AI can't help us be more human. AI can't help us care for each other more. Empathy becomes a really critical skill when we think about the future we're creating, when we think about the teams we're building, when we think about the businesses that we're growing. Our humanity is being put to the test. But it isn't being put to the test because it's irrelevant. It's being put to the test because it becomes even more relevant as we move into the future and we think about how we use technology to do the work so that we can be more present, so that we can be more innovative, so that we can collaborate more together. Because in reality, no one accomplishes anything alone. We accomplish everything through the people we work with, the people who support us, the people that we support. And so it goes back to the power of our relationships helping fuel our dreams. Communication skills become really consequential. And that communication skill begins in how you are telling your story. Utilizing a platform like LinkedIn, and this isn't a LinkedIn ad, but genuinely, for those of you who have businesses, I want you to get your story out. And the beauty of the platform is AI now helps you create your own story. So if you're like me and you sit down and you want to start writing and you get stuck and you get writer's block, you actually have a way to unblock yourself. And it's important that you do that because ideally, when you leave here today, you're not just leaving with the knowledge that you've gained, but you're going to leave with new relationships. People who are doing things that not only can help inform what you're up to, but people who are doing things that can help collaborate with what you're creating. So I'm going to pause because you may have questions, and I want to make sure that we have a little bit of time for those questions. But before we transition, the last thing that I'll leave you with is the following. As leaders, as business owners, we often think that our focus is just on the work that needs to be done. But I want you to raise your eye line. I want you to lift your lens and think about who you really are, because you're not the work. You're not even necessarily just a business owner. You are actually the possibility of amazing things that just haven't happened yet. You're the possibility of inspiring the person that you grew up with. You're the possibility of being that person that someone looks up to. You're the possibility of a breakthrough business that you hadn't dreamed of being so large. You're the possibility of our community moving forward and being not only healthy and vibrant and dynamic, but a community that leads the way for a country that's struggling. A country that is caught up in debates we don't need to be caught up in. The objective of life is to live it well, to be a blessing to others, to be able to ensure that we can be productive, ideally productive and successful. It's what I want for all of you. So I want you to think about, in the course of your dreams, where is your humanity? In the course of your dreams, how are you applying skills that enable you to not only be that person who inspires others and to be that possibility for your business and yourself, but above and beyond all, to know that that possibility is fueled by your own greatness, by the depth of a community that's going to be there for you, that's going to support you, and by many of us who, as we've gone along the way and we've built our careers, are more than happy to be there for you. Questions?
You're such an inspiration. You are. So we have time for only a couple of questions. Please raise your hands, and one of our team members is going to bring a microphone for you. Oh, we have one here.
Great talk, thank you. But my question is, you have a long title. What is a day-to-day of, I'm on LinkedIn, but what is a day-to-day of?
The day-to-day of a Vice President, Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging? Yeah.
Yes, so
So I have a global team that operates out of San Francisco, South Bay, New York, London, Dublin, Singapore, India. Our job is to create an environment where all of our employees experience a sense of belonging. And for those of you who may wonder what belonging looks like, we've probably all had that moment where we've walked into a room and we've looked around and we felt like the only one. Like, there's no one there with our background or our experience, no one there who necessarily speaks the language we feel most comfortable speaking in, no one there who looks like us. The objective of belonging is that when you walk into an environment, regardless of who you are, you can feel that that environment is yours too. And I'll give you an example of my belonging moment at LinkedIn. I had been with the company, my first 6 months I traveled from Fort Lauderdale to the Bay Area every week and decided that was a little too hard. And so my family and I decided to relocate to New York City. I walk into the LinkedIn office. And
Wow.
those of you who know that I love food know that there's a way to my heart. I walk in and we have this beautiful cafe. And at lunchtime, I walk in and one of the cafes was dedicated exclusively to comida latina. So I had plátanos every day for 6 months. I gained 15 pounds. I felt seen. And I felt heard. And that's one way of having a sense of belonging. But I think the sense of belonging is that when you walk into a place, that environment is yours too. You're not a visitor to that environment. And so in my day-to-day work, we have now 12 employee resource groups to create community for groups of identities that often aren't seen in the corporate environment. We just introduced Shalom, which is our Jewish ERG this past week. We have our Black ERG, we have Hola, which is our Latino ERG, we have Out at In, which is our LGBT ERG, we have families at LinkedIn and veterans at LinkedIn. We have Wisdom, which is for people over 40, because in the tech industry, sometimes it feels like you're the only one in the room. We have Enable In, which is for people with disabilities and their allies. The ERGs are open to everyone. And so it's a place for us to be allies to each other, to support each other, and to help people realize their full potential. And so my day-to-day is really about removing obstacles to people's greatness at work.
wow.
We have time for one more question. Awesome.
Hello, my friend.
Hi, Jessica.
I thank you so much. And she's telling all of her greatness at LinkedIn. I can speak to her on a personal note. This woman barely knew me, ended up at the Miami airport with me and let me tag along as I was a family member to her and her wife and her beautiful son for 1 week on a mission trip.
Because you are, we adopted.
They adopted me. So she is, she lives what she speaks every day. Can you talk to us about our networks and mentors and the importance of using the network to gain mentors?
Yeah, and in fact, I've been fortunate to mentor quite a number of people through the course of my career, and I do it ongoingly because it inspires me to see people realize their greatness and to see them do things they didn't think they could accomplish. I think it's really important that when we're building anything, we realize not only that we can't do it alone, we need to surround ourselves with people who have the wisdom to give us advice, to give us a perspective, not because you should be doing the things that they tell you to do, but because those inputs will help you imagine and think about things you hadn't thought about and think about how you apply them and when you need to apply them to your business. So the mentor isn't someone you need to talk to every day. It isn't even necessarily someone that you have to have a standing, mission to talk to. I think often we think of mentors as someone we go to when something really big is happening in our lives. But your mentor is that person you go to sometimes when nothing is happening in your life, just to have a conversation, because it's in those conversations you see things that wouldn't be visible to you otherwise. And so if you don't have a mentor, I encourage you to think about what are the things you struggle with? What's your biggest challenge in your day-to-day as you run your business? What are the things that give you anxiety? Right? And we all have something that gives us anxiety. Ideally, you find someone who does those things really easily or has had experience dealing with those things so that they can help you understand, so what can I do that makes it easier for me? It isn't necessarily that you have to be a different person. It may be a different way of looking at what you're doing. It may be a different tool or a set of tools you don't even know exist, which is why the network becomes so consequential. We don't know everything we need to know. I learn from people every day, and I do my job really, really well. But the reason why is because I don't try to have all of the answers. I try to find people who have great solutions and have them work with me so that we can build that. And it's really important as an entrepreneur. And I didn't share, I was an entrepreneur for 9 years. I had my own business. And so I've done business development. I've created contracts with large corporations. I've had to deal with procurement where they didn't pay me for 8 months at a time. And I was afraid to call. And I actually had a coach. And my coach said to me, I'm going to help you get paid in 2 weeks. And I looked at him and I thought, this is insane. They haven't paid me in 8 months. He said, you're going to call 3 times a day. And I said, I can't call my customer 3 times a day. They'll fire me. He says, what difference is it going to make? You've already done the work and they haven't paid you. And I'm like, okay. And fascinatingly, I was able to recover $80,000 in less than 2 weeks. I say that because we often tell ourselves we can't do the things we can do. And having a mentor, having a coach, having a sponsor is about having access to the things you don't have access to. You haven't done it, you haven't been there. And so we should never fear the opportunity to talk to someone. And a big hint on mentoring, you don't have to ask the person to be your mentor. You can ask them, can we have coffee? You can ask them, would you have 15 minutes for a conversation? You can ask them, I understand you're presenting at a conference. Would it be possible for us to connect after that conference? And I say that because sometimes the idea of mentor can feel really heavy and people get a little scared that that word might require more of them than they can possibly give. But we all can be discerning and judicious. We create agreements with each other about how a relationship is going to work. And if we're not aware, it's scary, but if we create that clarity, it actually makes it very easy to navigate. So think about what you're grappling with today. Think about whether you have people in your network at this moment who can help you with it. And if you don't, I want you to think about the kind of person who could and what you can do going onto a LinkedIn to find that person, send them a message. If they answer, you hit the jackpot. If they don't answer, you didn't lose anything by it, but you can continue to follow that person and understand how do they go about doing some of the things they're doing. What are the conferences they might be going to? What are the tools they may be using that help their productivity, that help them find solutions to the challenges they're working with? we can learn a lot from each other, and the first thing we have to do is not be afraid to look up and look around and talk to each other about what we're up to. Thanks for that question, Jessica.
You're just amazing. Good fun. No, thank you so much. Yes, let's give her another round of applause because good fun is just amazing. So, I want to invite actually Felipe back to stage. But before you do that, I just want to let you know that we're very happy to let you know we have several Unidos US representatives with us here today that are going to help you register to vote in case you are not registered. So they are around, they're going to be walking among all of us, so please take a look for them. And I'm going to turn it over to Felipe.
Thank you, Juliana. Wow. I'm sure you guys are having fun. What a powerful story, Rosanna. I'm very inspired. I'm sure you guys are as well. And I'm inspired because that's exactly what we do at Hispanic community. We need thousands of Rosannas out there. And actually, they're out there already.
They are.
We just have to create a space, give them access and opportunity. And that's what we do at Hispanic community. But guess what? I ask you to join Hispanic community in accomplishing that as well. You have that responsibility too. Anyway, I'm not gonna get off script. My beautiful staff members that are looking at me.
Presión.
I'm learning. I hope that you guys are learning as well. I hope that you're getting connected and you got to know someone else today. But more importantly, I hope that you're getting inspired. And what is next is gonna get you even more inspired. This is a very special session. It's very close to my heart. And it's the American Dream Awards, which celebrates the spirit of entrepreneurship and those who help others achieve their dreams. This year, for the first time, we're introducing two new categories. The American Dreamer Supporter Award, recognizing organizations that financially empower emerging entrepreneurs. And the American Dream Builder Award, which honors service providers who go above and beyond in supporting aspiring and emerging entrepreneurs. And of course, we will continue to present the American Dreamer Award, which for the past 10 years has celebrated successful entrepreneurs who actively give back to the community. That's important to know, who actively give back to the community. This is about making money. This is about providing for our families, but it's about giving back to the community too. I want to share with you that we conducted a thorough nomination process, and each submission was carefully reviewed by a dedicated panel. To start our ceremony, please join me in welcoming one of the sponsors for the American Dream Awards, Florida Power and Light Company. FPL's continued support of small businesses in South Florida is remarkable. We're honored to have them here with us today, presenting one of our categories. Please join me in welcoming Baldwin English, External Affairs Manager at Florida Power and Light Company.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning and early. I wish that the notes had my full name. It's actually Baldwin Rodriguez English. I'm very Jamaican, but my grandmother, mi madre Pana, is de Panama. Oh, pretty good one. Yeah, okay. I didn't know how Panamanian she was until we celebrated her 90th birthday. And her sisters came into town from New York and from California. And that was the first time I heard my grandmother speak Spanish, right? So I'm very proud to be here representing my company, Florida Power and Light. We represent about 9,000 employees. And if I may take it a little bit of aside here, several thousand of them are right now being deployed to help with the hurricane restoration efforts. So please keep all of those individuals that have been impacted and those that are on their way. I have coworkers that have slept in their cars last night driving to where they need to go. So we want to keep all of them in our thoughts and prayers. FPL, we celebrate 100 years next year. We are a big company, as I said, 9,000, but we didn't start out that way. We started out with 35 mules and an ice company back in 1925 as a very small business that was put together to help figure out this electricity, this brand new thing, right, called electricity at that moment in time. And certainly we have grown over the years, but we still value giving back. I just left an event this morning at Dillard High School where we gave $50,000 for them to develop their STEM robotics program. That was, yes. That's part of several hundred thousand, if not maybe even $1 million mark of that particular gift this year alone, which is just a very portion of what we give back to the community. So we value and we're happy to partner with today, Hispanic Unity. And we're very excited to present the American Dreamer Support Award. This award honors dedicated funders dedicated to investing and inspiring and emerging entrepreneurs. Through their support, they empower individuals to pursue and achieve their American dream, while also contributing to the growth of a stronger and more vibrant community and economy. These organizations play a crucial role in nurturing innovation, creating opportunities, and helping to shape the future of our community. This year, we are proud to recognize Florida SBDC and FAU for their outstanding support of local business owners and their contributions to fostering entrepreneurship in our region. Their commitment to providing valuable resources and guidance has empowered countless entrepreneurs to grow and thrive, driving economic growth and innovation throughout South Florida. Please join me in congratulating Florida SBDC and FAU on this well-deserved honor.
Ready, says yay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there is a picture right now. No.
Ready? Come closer. Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Congratulations. Yeah, please. Don't rush.
I would like to take a minute to express our gratitude not only to the business community in Broward and Palm Beach County that has opened the opportunities for us to support not only in the way that we do the SBA, but also to partners like the Hispanic Unity of Florida. We have been able to reach the Hispanic community in ways that we had not done before in our organization. And this really recognize this amazing infrastructure that we have in South Florida to support all of your dreams. And I would like to thank you for including us as a partner. And my team is here to support you all in creating a business and also taking those business global. And join us and in consulting and any type of connection that we can do for you. And thank you.
If you don't mind, Sandra, having a seat. Thank you for helping us honor Florida SBDC at FAU, and congratulations to Sandra. Congratulations, and to the entire team for this huge accomplishment. Now I want to take the lead in celebrating the American Dream Builder Award. This award celebrates services providers who go above and beyond in empowering aspiring and emerging entrepreneurs. These organizations, two of them, play a critical role in helping entrepreneurs navigate their journey to success by providing guidance, resources, and support. Their commitment to fostering growth of innovation is instrumental in turning dreams into reality. And this award acknowledges their exceptional contribution to building a thriving business community in South Florida. I'm very happy to say that two organizations that embody all of these qualities and that are also incredible partners of Hispanic in Florida are this year's awardees. For years, we have witnessed firsthand their commitment to supporting our clients and their business community in South Florida. Their dedication goes beyond service. They are true advocates for growth and success, and we are proud to honor them today. First, join me in congratulating the venture mentoring team. This organization is composed of seasoned executives who support startups and small businesses by donating their time and expertise. BNT helps entrepreneurs thrive by offering guidance and mentorship. Please join me in congratulating BNT to receive this award. Help me in welcoming Rafael Garzón. Oh, entirely. Closer. And now please join me in congratulating Scott Brouwer. This organization has a strong team of 70+ experienced entrepreneurs, corporate managers, and executives from a diverse set of industries who volunteer their knowledge to help small businesses to start, grow, and thrive. They provide key services including mentoring and educational workshops. Thanks to them, and I say this really slow because I'll tell you more later. Thanks to them, Hispanic Community started its journey of supporting aspiring emerging business owners almost 15 years ago. Please join me in congratulating one of the best organizations I ever worked with. So proud.
That's right.
To receive this award, let me welcome George Rex to the stage. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, of course.
Come on, support team.
There we go.
Can I come again?
Okay. Oh my God.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just
quickly, I want to thank Hispanic Unity. We've been working with the organization now for, I think it's our 13th year. So it's been a tremendous privilege for us to be able to work because, we're all volunteers. Everybody was just on the stage as a volunteer. So those folks are all dedicating their time and their energy to help other people. They believe in giving back. They believe in altruism. A lot of them are from other places in the world. They've come here and they're helping other people that are coming behind them, that are following in their footsteps. So please recognize them one more time for the effort that they put in.
Congratulations to the organizations. And now let's jump to introduce our next guest who will present our American Dreamer Award and to moderate the discussion with all awardees. We are incredibly lucky to be joined again by Tom Hudson, Senior Economics Editor and Special Correspondent for WLRN. And I want a big round of applause because I'm going to tell you something. Tom was covering the hurricane and he jumped into a bright line and he rented a car because he really wanted to be here with us today. So Tom, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Okay, so Tom, this is very impressive. Tom's extensive reporting on South Florida's economy has taken him from the waters of Florida Bay to the depths of the Port Miami Tunnel, as well as countless offices and conference rooms. He has interviewed bartenders and bankers, caregivers, and CEOs to report on the people behind economic statistics. He has reported from the trading floors of the CME, Chicago Board Options Exchange, NASDAQ, and New York Stock Exchange. He previously served as Vice President of News at WLRN when he created and hosted the Sunshine Economy for 10 years. Please join me in welcoming Tom Hudson.
Juliana, thank you very much. Good afternoon. We're close enough to noon. I think we can say good afternoon, everybody. Great to see you. It is my pleasure to be here. This is really a terrific event, and I enjoy coming here as often as I've been invited to come. I always try to accept this invitation. I should start by saying we are thinking about a lot of our colleagues, a lot of our friends or family who may be in North Florida, the Panhandle, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. This is really awful storm. For those of us who have been in South Florida long enough, we have some personal experiences about what they may be experiencing and what the business community also is experiencing with these entrepreneurs that are being impacted by Hurricane Helene. And we know the resiliency of the small and medium-sized business community, and we know it will be able to repair itself and come back even stronger, and we will all benefit from that. I want to congratulate Hispanic Unity on 11 years of this recognition of the American Dreamers Award. 11 years! That is a veteran award here in South Florida. Congratulations. And I want to mention that I think we all share an American dream for a better tomorrow. A lot has been said, certainly over the last several years, about threats to the American dream. Maybe the American dream is dying. Some even have proclaimed that the American dream is dead. I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it. Look around this room if you think that the American dream is threatened. Look around to your neighbor. Introduce yourself to somebody you didn't know this morning and talk to them about your dream for a better tomorrow. We each may have a different dream, but we are all Americans, either by chance or by choice. And my congratulations to everybody in this room who is working to fulfill a better tomorrow for themselves, their family, and their community here in South Florida. So congratulations. You are all winners of the American dream as far as I'm concerned. Congratulations. So this year's awardees represent the diversity of business and serving our diverse and growing community in South Florida. Their backgrounds, industries, and their pathways to entrepreneurship are each unique, but they share two things in common. They've been successful and they give back to their communities. Our first American Dreamer awardee is Marguerite Ramos. Marguerite is a passionate advocate for outdoor living. Yes, congratulations to Marguerite. She's a passionate advocate for outdoor living. founder of Shade FLA. It's a leading provider of innovative shade solutions. For all of us who enjoy the Florida sunshine, we also enjoy getting in the shade a little bit here. Now, with over 2 decades of experience in the shade industry, Marguerite has dedicated her career to transforming outdoor spaces into comfortable and stylish havens. Under her leadership, Shade FLA has successfully served commercial, hospitality, residential, and governmental markets. Her current role on the Prospera USA board reflects her desire to pay forward the mentorship and resources that were instrumental in her entrepreneurial success here in South Florida. So let's shine a bright light on congratulating Marguerite.
Can I put this in? Great. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
We're just temporarily taking it for safekeeping. I promise we will get it back to you. We promise. Our next awardee is Julie Van Bregel. Julie, congratulations on this recognition today. She is the founder and CEO of Julie 360, a clothing line that embraces diversity and promotes self-acceptance, featuring unretouched models who are actual clients, IRL, in real life. Congratulations, what a great business model. Prior to this, she founded a digital marketing agency, Encoders, which helped small businesses build their brands and gained corporate experience with Petrobras, Electra, and Coca-Cola. Her deep passion for helping others drives her to volunteer with different organizations across our region as she aims to inspire and empower women and entrepreneurs. Among others, she volunteers at organizations with a mission to combat domestic violence and human trafficking. Please join me in congratulating an American dreamer, Julie Van Bregel. Julie, congratulations.
Great.
All right, so now is my favorite part of this program. Certainly giving out awards is really nice, but now we get to talk to these entrepreneurs and get to know them a little bit. And so do you. We'll have an opportunity for some audience questions a little bit later on in our conversation. So first of all, congratulations, everybody, on such a wonderful recognition of the hard work that you put into your businesses and hard work that you put into our community here as well. Julie, let me ask you, the inspiration, that spark of inspiration to become an entrepreneur, where do you trace that back to? Or to whom do you trace it to?
Well, it's where and to whom. Well, thank you for the award, and I'm super excited to share with you about my story. The beginning was about postpartum depression. I got postpartum depression with my 2 kids. The second time, I changed the strategy a little bit and I joined a running group. So I realized that every time I run, I feel better. So I was like, running is making me feel good. So that's kind of the first part. And then the second part, at the same time, I was dealing with feeling the failure of a business that I started with a friend. And I somehow tie the running feeling good and the failure feeling and running and making that negative feeling, like transforming it in a powerful fuel that will keep me moving forward. So that's when the third aspect comes, which is my amazing husband. He woke me up one day at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, "This is your business plan because you are gonna keep going." And all that together was the story about how Julie 360 was born, because I said, if I can create a brand that his idea was a fashion brand, and I said, I love running, and I can tell the story. I can tell people how staying active can change your life, and all those things that happen into your life can be changed, can be transformed in a powerful fuel that keep us moving forward. So the motto of the brand is embrace the journey. You don't get to choose what you have to live, but you decide how you're gonna go through that. So that's
And I love the idea of a journey. It's not a trip. It's not an origination and destination. It's a journey that's going to take different turns, just like running a business and starting a business. Marguerite, how about for you? Where was the inspiration for you to take the risk, take the chance, and embrace your desire to be an entrepreneur?
Thank you, I have my glasses on. Thank you so much. So my inspiration came when my then 3-year-old was out of school, and they had a playground, and that playground was metal. Playground's made out of steel, and the children really couldn't play on the playground for the majority of the 9 months that they're in school because I touch it, you burn. Also, they poured in place at the bottom was the same thing. They touch, fall on it, whatever, they got burned. So the PTSA decided at that point to raise money for a shade structure. And we found so few vendors, so few people really that were in that field, and that's what led me. We raised $25,000. We put it up. It was a long time ago, and so we put that up, and then I realized that not only was it a great thing for helping children, but it was a great business opportunity as well.
Out of adversity comes those, Julie, you mentioned failing initially with an opportunity. Marguerite, how about some challenges along the way that you fought
A lot of challenges.
and saw through?
Sure, because shade structures, it's construction industry, which is a male-dominated industry. So it's very difficult. Even though I started my business with my amazing husband, Carlos, over there. Carlos is a commercial pilot. And so most of the growing really fell on my shoulders. And so it was difficult, but I dealt with it. I'm here, I'm at the table, so you gotta deal with me. And they're so specialized in shade. A boutique awning company is such a specialized industry. So I think that because of my knowledge, that I overcame those obstacles. That was probably the biggest obstacle. And the second biggest obstacle was that I didn't have a business degree. I was a political science major. I had been working in a consulting business, and I just felt my dad was an entrepreneur, small business, mom and pop. I could do it too. So I tried, and of course, I hit my head against the wall many times. Until then, I discovered programs where I could really learn, like the Goldman Sachs program, 10,000 Small Businesses, and then I learned about Prospera, USA, and SBDC. I'm also a client of SBDC's. I learned about all of this opportunity, and I'm all about learning. So that's where really, I overcame my obstacles.
There are some incredible community resources out there for
Absolutely.
entrepreneurs of all sizes and all experiences. Julie, what did you take away from the previous failure that you had and apply it to the success that you've been able to enjoy now?
Well, it's nothing like such a failure. It's a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and it goes make you stronger. If you don't fail, you are not trying hard enough. You have to test, and then you adapt, you transform, change what you have to change, and you keep going. So that's what I said. I hear the other day, it's not such a failure, it's an incomplete success.
That's right.
So that's what I learned is you can avoid the challenges, you can avoid the obstacles, because there are not so many things that you can control when you are in a business. You are trying to put together a business. But what you can control is the perspective that you are going to choose to just take what you're living, embrace it, and transform it in that fuel that I talked to you before, that is going to move you forward. Because it's nothing more powerful than that feeling of sad. It didn't happen. You feel sad, but it's like a little bit of anger there. That's what you need. That's what you need to say, what? I can do it. I train for this. I prepare for this. I'm ready to learn, and I'm going to make it happen. So to me, failure is the best thing that can happen.
Each of you mentioned having your spouse involved in some part of the business. Marguerite and then Julie, how have you navigated that? I suspect many in the room maybe are involved with a family member in business. Maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin, whatever it may be. But how do you navigate? Did you navigate that? Where are some of the places that perhaps you bumped up against the side, but have come through shining?
Yeah, it's definitely a huge challenge. Luckily, Carlos travels a lot because he's a commercial pilot, so he's not there 24/7. But so that makes it a little easier, but it is difficult. But he's
Absence
really
makes the heart grow fonder.
yeah, exactly. But he's we each have our own aspects, our fortes, right? So his aspects are technical specs and finances, and mine are I love sales and marketing and teaching people about my product. So we have different aspects that we specialize in.
How about for you? How have you navigated?
It's more or less the same. And the outgoing and the salesperson, the operation, the one that's the fun thing, designing the clothes and all the stuff. And he actually he has a full-time job, so he has to, do his part. But what he brings to me is actually something extremely important, which is a lot of experience and patience. I'm an explosive. I could be doing things all the time. He's the one who said, it takes time, be patient. You already has go so far. Because when you are in this entrepreneurship thing, you feel like you are running but in a treadmill because you're not going anywhere. But at times you need that partner that tells you, remember where you were 1 year ago when you have only one store, now you have four. So that's the beautiful thing about our partnership. He also take care of the payroll and all the boring stuff.
So I want to, but important stuff. Yes, I want to ask a little bit about the boring stuff, because the idea, the vision, the mission, sometimes that can be the fun stuff. The boring stuff is the bookkeeping, dealing with the funders or the bankers, the loans or customers, accounts receivable, accounts payable, all that stuff that makes the business go. Marjorie, you mentioned you didn't have a business degree. But a degree in life certainly goes a long way being an entrepreneur. How did you navigate those kind of nuts and bolts aspects of building a business?
So for really hard things or advice on which and like payroll service should I use, things like that. I was never afraid of asking. So I asked mentors, I asked whoever I needed to ask. But I have a bookkeeper. She's been with us for 5 years. So she has a lot of knowledge, and it's just really hiring the right people, which is very difficult today, extremely difficult. But hiring the right people and also asking, you have to keep on asking, everything you can. Luckily, if you have a strong entrepreneur network, that's the first place to start.
Julia, how about for you?
Yeah, well, he takes care, as I said, of a lot of stuff. When you are starting a business, maybe Margaret is already more advanced in his business history. In my case, at the beginning, I had to do it all. And the model, and you get to do a lot because you don't have a lot of resources that you have to be resourceful. So is that we divide the roles, and he again does all the stuff. He's a great mentor, so we kind of share. He does the numbers too when we need to project, for the opening of a new store. So he take care of that. So it's a very well divided role, and definitely if you have to invest some money, we use like for payroll, we use a company that take care of all our employees. So you have to pick your battles, and I feel that that's important. But yeah, basically it's a well-defined roles, and he does the boring part, and I do the fun part.
We will open the audience questions here in a moment, but I want to bring in the rest of our panel. Sandra, beginning with you, I think Julie's comment there is an entrepreneur has to be resourceful without having a lot of resources. This is where the supporter and the dream builder awardees here kind of come into play. What are you hearing commonalities in this story amongst all the other entrepreneurs that the SBDC works with at FAU?
Well, the stories usually are similar, in which we receive a lot of the aspiring business owners or the business owners with a dream, and it's our job to help them to shape the dream and to understand that there is a path and there is a commitment. And as they explain, it has to be passion behind that, because the road is not easy, And yes, with the resources we have at SBDC, SCORE, and other programs from SBA and similar partners like the Hispanic Unity of Florida, we help the business owners to understand the journey. And what I'm hearing here is that the journey has these bumps, and how to navigate the bumps is going after expertise. And the expertise is something that the business owners should accept. And what I'm hearing also is they are open to get advice, and with that advice move forward. So this is not common in all of the business owners, but we try. And now that we are all hands on deck on disaster relief, we learned that not everybody followed the homework to have the financials in place, and giving access to loans to repair the damage takes time because they don't follow the path. So when I see entrepreneurs like them, this is inspiring, and you can talk to our team, in which this is what really keeps us going, is when they come with this passion, we are able to put all the resources that we are able to help with. So this is what I say.
Passion and a sense of being humble at the same time, I suspect, right? George, how about for you? What are some of the common speed bumps that entrepreneurs encounter, regardless of the industry, and how do they go about addressing those in a way that is efficient and beneficial to fulfill their vision?
Yeah, look, I think the common issue is always funding for most businesses. A rare few businesses that are so cash positive that they don't have to worry about funding. But funding, particularly in the initial stages, funding becomes an issue. But interestingly, though, when you kind of peel the onion back, it's oftentimes that's not the critical issue. Critical issue oftentimes is we haven't planned out far enough where we're going and how we're going to get there. Because there's oftentimes an easy solution to funding. It's called customers, right? If you can get customers and your pricing is right, and you're generating some profits, that oftentimes can accelerate the less need for funding, because you're self-funding as you go along. So there's probably some of that combination of funding and how do you get your customers in place quickly, so that you can get that revenue stream going as soon as you can.
Rafael, how about that vision thing? Entrepreneurs tend not to be short of vision, but perhaps are a bit short on execution, on the path there. They see the destination, but how to get there may be a little bit more difficult. And as George points out, it's the fuel in the tank is going to be cash flow.
Yeah. So first of all, I wanted to thank Felipe and Hispanic Unity for this award. In short 3 years, we've been able to accomplish a lot together with the team. And we have a program, the Emerging Entrepreneurs Mentoring Program, where we talk about some of the challenges that these entrepreneurs. So we're finding that many of them do have the vision, but they lack that discipline. And many times, the biggest challenge that they face, that we see on entrepreneurs, is the difficulty they have with prioritization. When you have a small business like you do, right, and you are doing almost 20 jobs, everything is important. So lack of prioritization is one of the biggest challenges that they have. And to be able to execute, the first step is make sure to prioritize what's important. What is going to bring in new customers, new business, what really, maybe spend some time understanding your value proposition. Because in many instances, the reason why you don't find customers is because maybe you have the wrong value proposition. We have many cases where an entrepreneur is doing above and beyond, but the customer is not willing to pay for above and beyond. Why? Because they don't see the value. So you have to spend that time checking what is it the value proposition you're bringing to what kind of customer, and align those two. So spend that time, instead of trying to run crazy with your ideas, spend time on building the business and looking at what is the you offer.
I'm curious, Margarita, Julie, have either of you had to make a pivot as you thought this is what the customer, this is what the market is, but then the response back, both in terms of a sales call maybe that didn't succeed, or where there were greater opportunities that were different than what you had walked through the door with. Marguerite, you had.
Yeah, absolutely, because I started out with little shade structures for schools, but there's only so many schools that have PTSAs that will buy shade structures. So the pivot was very quick. And we actually started working with a company that was from Australia. Australia is a leader in shade structures. And they were here for a short time in Florida. We learned a lot from them. And we started promoting or marketing to high-end hotels, luxury hotels, because those are the people that, the more shade you have, the more drinks you can sell under the shade. And that's really where we became specialists in hospitality.
How about for you? Has there been a pivot?
Yes, definitely. You always will have a collection that doesn't sell. Yes, retail is a little bit different because I design my own stuff. So sometimes the sizing or the actual design, I love it, but people do not. So how I manage that with time, the most time I spend at the store with the client, that's your best marketing research, because you are getting firsthand and you are looking at people so that you know what type of body fits better and what type of clothes. Obviously, as he said, as a business person, you cannot be 10 hours in a store because then there are so many things that are not getting done. So that's when the great thing comes. But yeah, it's firsthand listening to what are the needs of your client and know what you like and what you feel like would look so you good.
We've got time for 2 questions from the audience. Anybody have a question? Hi. Question, stand up and introduce yourself for us.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Soledad Jacobson, proud partner of Hispanic.
Oh, here's a microphone coming up right there for you. Thank you. Say that again.
Okay,
Yes.
good afternoon, everyone. My name is Soledad Jacobson. Work with Prospera USA. We are a technical assistant provider that supports small businesses, proud Hispanic Unity partner. First of all, congratulations to all the awardees. I want to follow up on what Felipe just mentioned before about the power of giving back. So I wanted to learn more about the role that you both as business owners have in the community. If you could share more about that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I serve on the Prospera USA board as one of the small business voices, along with another small business. And the board is made up of corporate and nonprofits. So we're often asked, is that a realistic request of entrepreneurs? Through that and all through my activity in the community, we're able to help small businesses join the Prospera, all of the programs for social media, for learning how to run your business, mom and pop businesses. So that's how I give back in that way. I'm always trying to help entrepreneurs, like when I met Yuli. Oh, you gotta do this program, you gotta do this program, you gotta do that program. So I'm always trying to help people because I've learned so much myself.
In our case, because we have the beauty of getting to meet a lot of people on the way, we partner with a lot of big charities. Last night, actually, we went in with the Broward Health people and we do Glamathon, and we donate, we raise money for women that suffer from breast cancer. And this kind of event, we do it often. We do, as they mentioned, I have done work with organizations that help people that has been victims of human trafficking and domestic violence. And this is super important because we sometimes think that people that have very few are the ones that suffer from this. You have no idea. This touch many people, not just women and men. So we make sure that we can get to know people that are in charge of those organizations, and we do events at the store. We sell and we give a portion of the profit. I'm super open to that all the time. We just look ways to add value to the community, not just through our clothes, because every piece has a message and a uplifting message to set, but also through our actions with getting involved with the community.
Just a quick follow-up, Rafael, for you on this. The role of community involvement for an entrepreneur who's already under incredible pressure to prioritize, as you mentioned, under pressure, as George spoke about, to find the cash flow, to keep funding the dream and building the dreams, what Sandra mentioned, being open to mentorship. How does an entrepreneur, where does kind of community outreach, community involvement fit into the entrepreneurial prioritization?
Great. So that's a great question because one of the key aspects of entrepreneurship and being successful is networking, right? I will categorize this as you're starting, you don't have money to give to people, but you have your time. Those times when you're trying to do community service and you're meeting people, that's also a networking opportunity for you. So you can have those in a category of networking that includes the time you do for others, right? When you give back, in many instances, the best networking contacts that I have come from the giving, self-giving. So I think it's karma. It pays back. When you do it, you're gonna get maybe the contact that will take you to where you can do more what your business does, and then continue to help. So it's a self-fulfilling effect. Put it in the category of networking. You have to do networking. That's part of an entrepreneur. You don't do networking, you're not connecting, you're not getting more customers. So I'll put it in that category.
That's great. Hi, you had a question? Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you. So my question, like you guys already mentioned, is very stressful. Business owner professional. Because you wear many hats. So how do you guys manage stress? Wow. Yeah, some tips.
You run, right?
That's the question. You run, yeah. Honestly, that's the answer. Whatever is the trigger for you, listen, in my case, I'm gonna share but you have to find what is the trigger for you. When I run, I get my best business ideas. I'm not training the body. I don't do that to look certain way. You are training the mind because what will make you fail is yourself, is how you speak to yourself. So when you run, when you are doing, in January I ran, at the beginning of the year, I ran the Miami Marathon and I wanted to do the full marathon, not the half. Because of course, I want to do extra.
Right.
You always go the extra mile. You don't do what others do. You do you and more.
There's 13 extra miles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and running a full marathon is not the hard part. It's the training to get there. So I always, and I'm gonna share with you, this is my strategy. I always do something that I call the scam. And when I'm running, when you are in mile 20 that you wanna die, you don't wanna die. It's your brain that's telling you, you have been running for 3.5 hours and you are tired. Then you do the scam. You said, my legs hurt. The answer is no. My back hurt, my arm hurts. If the answer is no, guess what? You have way more in your tank and you keep going because you don't stop when you are tired. You stop when you are done. And that's the answer for you. Because sometimes we treat ourselves, and it's here. We self-doubt a lot as entrepreneurs. I don't know if this happened to you, but it's like, I'm good enough for this. I'm maybe biting more than I can chew. No, you can do it because you train for that. And it's discipline, and it's waking up the next day and doing it all over again. When yesterday you didn't sell anything, but guess what? Tomorrow you still have to wake up earlier than yesterday and you do it all over again. So that's the key.
I'm an avid gardener. Every day I garden, I grow orchids, I have a food forest in my yard. It's my passion. So I'm always outside and getting that fresh air, getting those great ideas. It's my passion. And my second passion is travel. Getting away, even if it's for 2 days, cleans your mind. You know, you can't be answering your phone and on your phone when you're traveling. So just cleaning it, even if it's a 2 days staycation, that is just an enormous refresh. My husband's always like, we gotta go to town, you're too stressed out. I'm like, okay, I'm there. But I never miss my garden.
I'd like to hear the others on this as you work with entrepreneurs or you yourself. How do you manage stress and balance? George?
Exercise. Yeah, that's our fun. I have a fairly decent discipline of trying to be exercising 4 or 5 days a week. To your point, even if it's a half hour, I schedule an hour and a half and I do a half an hour. It's just kind of that methodology of being there every day. Once in a while, I'll go in, swipe the card, and leave. Really cheery, but I was in the gym today. And it'll do something to my mind. I was in the gym.
Rafael?
So I totally agree with the exercise duty, right? So heavy exercise will get your mind out of it.
Primeros en llevar un mensaje de bendición. Primeros en sonido de calidad. Primeros en programación. Primeros en variedad musical. Somos tu verdadera alternativa en línea. Estás conectado con coesradio.com.
www.coesradio.com.
No sé si cuestionarte o si tan solo agradecerte. Mi realidad es tan distinta a lo que una vez me prometiste. Desconozco tus planes y pareces estar ausente. Sea cual sea tu voluntad, la aceptaré. Mi alma hoy reposa en el Dios de mi esperanza, porque he mirado atrás y puedo ver de dónde tú me sacaste. Prefiero tenerte en este barco aunque estés dormido. Sea cual sea tu voluntad, la aceptaré. Cuando todo termine, tengo un lugar para vivir, donde no habrá ningún dolor ni enfermedad. Las aflicciones de este mundo no se pueden comparar a lo que tú harás en mí. Yo sé que tú lo harás en mí. Yeah. La 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 la. Mi alma hoy reposa en el Dios de mi esperanza, porque he mirado atrás y puedo ver de dónde tú me sacaste. Prefiero tenerte en este barco aunque estés dormido. Sea cual sea tu voluntad, la aceptaré. Sea cual sea tu voluntad, la aceptaré. Cuando todo termine, tengo un lugar para vivir, donde no habrá ningún dolor ni enfermedad. Las aflicciones de este mundo no se pueden comparar a lo que tú harás en mí. Yo sé que tú lo harás en mí. Cuando todo termine, tengo un lugar para vivir, donde no habrá ningún dolor ni enfermedad. Las aflicciones de este mundo no se pueden comparar a lo que tú harás en mí. Yo sé que tú lo harás en mí. Aunque no hay vaca en los corrales, ni en las vides haya frutos, yo sé que tú lo harás en mí.